Hello friends! Today I'd like to do a video response to Lisa Papez and her wife Peggy. They did 21 tarot questions. So this is my response to those. First question, what is the deck they'll have to pry out of your cold, dead hands? For me, this would be the Crow Tarot, and this is I think it's the Indiegogo or Kickstarter version. It was the crowdfunded version. I love this back. It's different than the mass market back that is out there in print right now. I love the collage style of the art. I love the colors. I love that the font is actually readable. In some decks, you can't actually read what it says. I love this so much that I've even used it as a training deck, so I've written on them. Absolutely adore the art style. I even love the cardstock. As you can see, it's pretty scratched up from use, but it's easily shuffled. Absolutely adore this deck, and I will never let it go. Next question, what is your guilty pleasure deck? For me, my guilty pleasure deck is actually the Hocus Pocus deck. To me, it's a guilty pleasure because it's fun, and I love the original movie from Disney. It's just fun, and to me that screamed guilty pleasure. I've even taken this and edged it in purple to make it even more fun. I like the green and purple theme with the cards. I like the pumpkins as being one of the suits. I can look at it and recognize some of the characters from the movie. Again, it's just fun, and sometimes I want a fun kind of Halloween-y style deck. Question number 3, which deck you wish existed? Back when I was about 19, I really wanted a Winnie the Pooh, classic Winnie the Pooh tarot deck. And I'm so happy to find out that there is one. The Kickstarter has closed. I believe there's a couple more days that you can get it on backer kit, but it's called The Wisdom of Pooh, and it uses the art from the classic Pooh. And I am so excited and can't wait for that one to be available for everybody. Question number 4, what deck would you give to a new reader? I would give them This Might Hurt, but it's an updated version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. So there are modern images, it's brightly colored, the font is easy to read, it's been updated for the modern times, which may annoy some people, but to me, I can connect with it better than the Rider-Waite-Smith. I like the cities in the background. I like the clothing style, things like coffee cups holding in pens, which are wands. Very excited to use this, and I think it's close enough to the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery that it could be easy for somebody to pick up. What deck do you want to get along with, but it just never clicked? This would have to be the Embroidered Forest Tarot. This is a gorgeous deck. But yeah, it just never quite clicked to me. I love that it's based on needlework. I enjoyed the gilding on it. I like the colors, but it just never quite connected for me. Part of it is the font, and I just have trouble reading this style of font. The imagery, to me, some of the cards worked, some of them didn't. In some of these, they're just also a little too pippish for me. But it's gorgeous. And so much time and effort went into doing all the needlework so that she they could publish this as a deck, which is also why this one falls for number 6. What deck do you keep only for the art? And it would have to be this, because I appreciate needlecraft so much that I really do appreciate the work and the time and the effort that went into this deck. It really is gorgeous. Question number 7. What deck did you buy because everybody else did? This one I was definitely influenced by people online, and I must say I am so happy that I purchased it, and it's the Oak, Ash, and Thorn. This deck is gorgeous. It's so fantastic to read. The art is great. These artistic borders, they're not clean lines. It is fantastic. I love the animals. I love the images. I loved the soft colors. I love the dragons, and of course love the dragon deck too that they did. I am very happy that I was influenced to buy this particular deck. Question number 8. What deck is over your head or just baffles you? I would have to say this one would be the Spiral Tarot, and I've had this copy since the early 2000s. It was given to me, so I have not given it away. I continue to keep it and look at it and hope that someday I can actually understand it. The imagery is beautiful, the guidebook is very good, but there is just so many symbols in this deck. Astrological, elemental. I have a hard time connecting, but I have such an emotional bond to it that I can't give it away. And I do consider the art very pretty. So I do hope one day to do such a deep dive that I can actually connect with it. This particular deck was printed in this is the 1997 version of it. It was already with mass market with US Games at that time. I got it in the early 2000s, and it is still in print. And the guidebook is actually available as an ebook. Question number 10. What deck doesn't really work for you, but you keep it because it's a collectible? I just say I don't really have one. My Spiral Tarot deck that I just talked about, I wouldn't consider it a tarot deck, or excuse me, a collectible, even though it's pretty old. I don't really have any of those, and I don't collect tarot like that for the possible return on investment. What deck is your favorite gilded deck? This one I would have to say is the Synesthesia Tarot. I absolutely love the gilding, and it's such a different kind of deck. The cardstock is extremely thick. It has a gilded back, and it has some gilding on the front, and then single color per card. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of pippish, but at the same time, you can kind of read into what the cards say. But the colors, the gilding, it is gorgeous. Which deck do you love but hate the cardstock? I must admit, I don't like how thick this cardstock is. It makes it extremely difficult to shuffle because it's so thick. My hands are kind of small and kind of weak, so I can't riffle them. So I have to either go into smaller and almost do the drop style, or do hand over hand. But because it's so thick, it takes up. So really thick cards, not for me. But I still love the decks, and I will still not give them up because I still love it. Question 13, what deck gives you the willies? I don't have it because it gives me such willies. Deviant Moon, the faces on that deck, I just can't take it. Not for me. But what is your favorite deck for shadow work? Interestingly, Somnia Tarot by Nicholas Bruno. And interesting because all the faces are covered in this particular deck. So either you only have things like the hands, and it is a photography deck, which is the only deck I have that is photography based. They might have the people looking a different direction, or they have them completely covered. So I know some people don't like this deck because of that particular feature of it, that the people in this are covered, so you cannot see their faces. I personally find it great for that kind of internal shadow work, working on myself. Question 15. What deck do you love in theory but not in practice? Interestingly, the Mass Market Crow Tarot deck. I love the Kickstarter version, so I like many elements about the Crow Mass Market version, but it just doesn't hit it for me. Part of it is because of the size. It is larger. Here's the indie version, here's the mass market. It is bigger. I like the backs enough. They're fine. The repeating pattern, the brown's very comforting. The feather pattern, it's good. The cardstock is thicker than the indie version, so it's a little harder to shuffle. But the pictures, I didn't see too many differences between the mass market and the indie. I think some of them are a little bit sharper, and they may have done a few little color corrections, but otherwise everything is basically the same. But in theory, I should absolutely love it, but not so much. Okay, number 15, or excuse me, 16. What deck would you never use to read for somebody else? I still consider myself a novice. I don't really read for other people, so I don't actually have any decks in that. Even theoretically, I don't think I have any decks that would fall in this category. What deck would you never use for yourself? None. If I wouldn't use a deck for myself, I wouldn't keep a deck. And what deck could you not bring yourself to buy? Any round or odd shaped deck. I like traditional rectangle cards. Other ones, they just don't click for me. I don't like how they feel when you try to shuffle them, things along those lines. Okay, what deck slaps you with the truth? Question 20. That would be my Crow deck, and more recently, since I've begun working with it, This Might Hurt. These two I have found I've really connected with, and they tell it to me straight. They don't hide the answers. They're right there with me. Question 21, last, is what is the deck that got away? And I honestly couldn't think of one, which tells me that putting off that impulse and not buying it right away, I'm okay with that. And so far, those have all been good answers for should I get the deck. So I hope you have enjoyed this, seeing my small tarot collection and how the decks fit into each of the categories. Thank you so much, and thank you to Lisa and Peggy for putting this out in the world. We really appreciate you. Thank you.